Well, it is time again, guys, to check out another Commonwealth weaponry mod release, and this time around, it is yet another Fallout New Vegas classic. Yeah, I know, we just can't seem to help ourselves, can we? Well, this time around, we are tackling the DLC weapon known as the Police Pistol, a 38 Special or 357 revolver featured in Fallout New Vegas' Dead Money DLC. It's loosely inspired by the Colt Police Positive, though you can very clearly tell that, like a lot of New Vegas weapons, it has some differences that make it pretty much something else entirely. A lot of people will tell you that the service rifle is just an AR-15, but if you really put it under a microscope, you'll notice so many differences that it really is its own weapon in the Fallout universe, and that is interesting. Whether it's a stylistic decision or something to actually differentiate it from the real-life version of the weapon, I am unsure. But either way, we had a lot of fun with this one, and we're able to use the idea of it being a Colt Police Positive to add some really fun upgrades and attachments to make this a bit more interesting, while of course still keeping the original attachments from New Vegas so that you can recreate a perfect version of the police pistol for your Fallout 4 load order. Now, the idea for this revolver was simple. We wanted an earlier game revolver than the 44, and so having something that can use the vanilla 38 round or a munitions 357 was perfect. And the police pistol was a great contender for that because it was already featured in the past Fallout games, and because it's a Colt, we can kind of do some fun stuff to add in a couple of other revolvers using the attachment system, like the Colt Python. Now, none of these weapons are going to be one-to-one because the first priority was designing it around the police pistol in New Vegas, which again, was not an exact remake of any real-world weapon. It did take some inspiration from others, and so in that way, our attachments will take inspiration from other weapons as well, allowing you to create some faux versions of those weapons, but none of them are going to be one-to-one. But they're close enough that I think you guys will still enjoy some of the designs available with this mod. Now, for starters, in Fallout New Vegas, this thing could be chambered in 38 or 357 because of the ammo swap system. We do not currently have that in Fallout 4, but that does mean that we have two versions of this mod. Those of you who want vanilla ammo types only, we have a 38 version, and those of you who like munitions, there is a 357 version. So pick whichever version that you like the best. Personally, I will be running 357 because we don't have enough 357 weapons ourselves, and really on the Nexus in general, there's not that many. So we would like one for this, or at least I would, for my own load order so that I can use it with something like my cowboy carbine and have a rifle and a pistol using the same ammo type. Now, this does come with all of the typical bells and whistles that you'll see in our mods, like a bunch of different attachments, of course. It does have custom animations from War Daddy. It comes with its own custom loading screens, level-less integration, so you will be able to find this out in the world. And of course, there is a unique that you can find on top of all of that. When it comes to the leveled-less integration, if you would like to get your hands on this weapon, it is injected to the Triggermen, Raiders, Minutemen, Gunners, and Vendors after level 8. So you will be able to purchase it or find it from defeating enemies. And I think all of these make a whole lot of sense. The Triggermen are perfect for the little tiny snub-nose versions of this pistol. The Minutemen makes a whole lot of sense if you're using a more Western style of attachments or maybe even the Python style barrels. And then the Raiders and Gunners, it's a revolver, so of course they would have some of these as well. So finding this all over the place is one that actually does make a good bit of sense, especially if it was something commonly found in police stations. I do believe that covers all of the basics. Now we need to hop in-game so we can do some live commentary, talk about the stats of this weapon, show off the unique location, and of course check out the custom animations, firing sounds, and all of those wonderful attachments that allow you to make this weapon exactly how you want it to be. So to check out the stats, I am going to be taking a version of this thing that is the closest to its New Vegas counterpart in terms of attachments. Now, really that just means changing out the grip and keeping everything else standard. That is the easiest way to recreate that version of the weapon, which also means we have some pretty stock stats aside from the grip. This thing has a base damage of about 32. It uses 38 caliber rounds in the current build that I have because I don't have the munitions patch yet, but I will be changing that out at some point. We have a fire rate of 24. It is a double action revolver, so you do not have to cock the hammer, but that does mean there is a bit of a lengthy hammer pull when you do pull the trigger. It has a range of 179, an accuracy of 61, a weight of 4.3 pounds, and a value of 79 caps. And it's a pretty cool little revolver. A little bit behind the scenes, Alex did make most of the assets for these things, and he made them pretty quick. We really wanted Alex to work on this a lot because he's done like 5 police pistols already, and so keeping that trend going was really, really funny. I did, however, do some texture work for the grips and other miscellaneous things, but besides that, it is a nice little group effort, making a pretty fun little pistol. Let's go ahead and check out the animations. So when it comes to animations, we are using a pretty simple set, which is just the double action War Daddy animations. We didn't want to get too flashy with this one, just keep them nice, grounded, and simple. Don't blame the gun, that's just me being bad at aiming. But yeah, pretty simple animations. We can also check out the suppressed sounds for this thing because there are suppressed sounds. And for anybody who wants to complain about the suppressor on a revolver, you hate fun. And that's that. Let's go ahead and check out the unique next. So spoiler warning for any of you who want to keep that a secret so you find it authentically, go ahead and skip to the time that you see the weapon workbench menu. So the unique in this case is going to be known as the Deputy, and my bad here, it normally comes with a standard wooden Python style grip, but I actually did equip the Staghorn for screenshots and forgot to change it. This thing also comes with a chrome finish compared to the darker metal of the normal police pistol. Kind of hard to tell in this preview menu, but it is a bit lighter than the other version. And it does 50% more damage against ghouls, and again, called the Deputy, I think you can figure out why. It is a reference to a show where a Python is featured pretty prevalently. His name may or may not be Kevin. So if you want to get your hands on this thing, it is actually found at a specific bridge location that you may be very familiar with because it is covered, absolutely covered, in explosives. Let's go ahead and check that out. So here we are at the supposed bridge, which you'll know as the Tucker Memorial Bridge, which is rigged with a whole lot of explosives. A pretty iconic location in Fallout, and well, obviously a big reference to the show that this unique comes from. But we actually have to find this thing, which means avoiding a lot of scary traps. I've already had to reload a few saves, not because I set it off, but because a lot of enemies spawned here. As you can see, there's some dead Protectrons over there. I had to run commands just to get them not to trigger any of the explosives here. But the idea is pretty funny that somebody who doesn't know the location of this weapon might accidentally set off all the traps and lose any chance of getting this thing. Now the problem is, I don't actually know where it is myself. Last I was told, it was sitting on a landmine. And there are a few landmines around here, so we need to investigate a little bit deeper, I suppose. Oh, jeez. I'm not sure exactly where this thing is. So we may have to do a jump cut. Ah, no we don't. There it is. As you can see, right on this landmine here, you can find the Deputy in its typical format as well, with the correct grip, unlike the one I'm holding currently. And he's pretty dang cool. Perfect. Alright, now then it is of course time to check out the weapon attachments over at the weapons workbench. Starting off with the receiver section, we have standard all the way up through advanced, which is a lot more than the typical revolver that I believe normally has a standard calibrated, heavy, and advanced, something like that. There's only 4 for the standard revolver, but ours has a bit more than that, so that's pretty cool. More customization is always good. For barrels, we have an option for a snub nose barrel, the short barrel, the standard barrel, and a long barrel. And we also have heavy versions of each of those with the short heavy barrel, the heavy barrel, and the long heavy barrel. The only one we don't get is a snub, but that's just fine. These are going to be your Python style barrels, which in this preview menu look kind of small, but in practice, actually out in the game, it looks pretty proportional, pretty correct to me. For the grips, we have the standard grip, which is not a police pistol style grip, which means you do get to upgrade into that. The standard grip is just a sort of nice standard wood that you'd find on a pistol like this. We also have the comfort grip, more reminiscent of the design from New Vegas. The heavy grip, the light grip, the sharpshooter grip, snakeskin grip, staghorn grip, and pearl grip. So you do have some fancier options here if you want to deck it out for sort of a hero weapon for your character, or you can go for something a little bit more traditional up here. For sights, you have the option for no rear sight to mimic that style of the police pistol from New Vegas. A lot of people thought that weapon had a gutter sight. It seemed we all have Mandela affected ourselves into thinking that, but if you go check the model for the original weapon, it's actually flat on top, which made our jobs a whole lot easier when it came to recreating it, because we also wanted to include a set of regular iron sights that you could throw on to mimic the Python and give yourself a better aiming profile. There's also glow versions of those sights there. A dot sight, a hollow sight, a reflex sight, a micro dot, hollow, and reflex, a laser sight that goes there on the bottom with the trigger, a short scope, a medium scope, a night vision scope, and a recon scope. A pretty ridiculous amount of stuff that I wouldn't expect to find on a weapon like this. We do actually have muzzle attachments. We have the option for no muzzle, a compensator, a muzzle brake, a makeshift suppressor, and a regular suppressor. Again, if you think suppressed revolvers are dumb, then you hate fun, and that's boring. Then we also have a material option that comes with any weapon because I have CC content. That doesn't matter. That is everything available for our Colt Python or police pistol, depending on how you decide to run this thing. Additionally, you have the chrome finish on the unique that you can customize and use all of these parts for as well. So yeah, guys, that is the New Vegas Dead Money Police Pistol, our version of it at least. There are quite a few police pistols out there nowadays, so you can pick and choose which ones are your favorite, though I will say most of them are made by Alex, and I have a strong feeling that he would endorse this one the most because it is his most recent project. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Anyways, if you want to check it out, it will be linked down in the description below. If you'd like to support our work, you can check any of the members of the team over on Patreon, or you can directly support us by endorsing the mod for free or giving a like to this video to tell us what kind of weapons you'd like to see more of. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!